Hi, nice to see you back here on my channel. Today I will read you an English fairy tale, so I hope you enjoyed it, and if so, maybe you like to subscribe my channel after it, or you like to subscribe my channel directly. So, now the fairy tale. The Fish and the Ring. Once upon a time there lived a baron who was a great magician and could tell by his arts and charms everything that was going to happen at any time. Now the great lord had a little son born to him, and there has to called the castle on the lands. So when the little lad was about 4 years old, wishing to know what his fortune would be, the baron took him to the book of fate to see what foretold. And lo and behold, it was written that this much loved, much prized hero in great lands and castles to be marry a long brown born maid. So the baron was dismayed and said a word by word and more arts and charms to discover it makes maiden and were already born, and so if there is she's lived. And he found out that she had just born in a very poor house, where the poor parents were already buried with 5 children. So he called for his horse and rode away and away, until he came to the poor man's house, and there he found the poor man sitting on the doorsteps, very sad and doleful. "What is the matter, my friend?" asked he, and the poor man replied, "May it please your honor, a little lass has just been born in our house, and we have 5 children already, and where the bread to come from fill the 6 mouths we don't know." "If that be your trouble," knows the baron readily, "mayhap I can help you, so don't be downhearted. I am just looking for such a little lass of companion, my son, so if you will, you can give me, I will give you 10 crowns for her." Well, the man he might jumped for joy, since he was get good money and his daughter, so he thought it good home. Therefore he brought out the child then there, and the baron wept the babe in the cloak and rode away. But when he got to the river, he flung the little thing into the swollen stream and said to himself, as a gulpec to his castle, "There goes Vatel." But you see, it was just sore mistake, so the little lass didn't sink. The stream was very swift, and her long capes closes up her still caught and snapped just opposite a fisherman who was mending his nets. Now the fisherman and his wife had no child, and they was just looking for a baby. So when the good man saw the little lass, he was overcoming with joy, and took her home to his wife, who recommended her with open arms, and they give and grow up there. They apply with their eyes into the most beautiful maiden that they have ever seen. Now when she was about 15 years old of age, it so happened that the baron and his friends went a-hunting along the banks of the river and stopped to get a drink and water at the fisherman's hut. And who should bring the water out? But there's also the fisherman's daughter. Now the young man and the party noticed her beauty, and one of them said to the baron, "She should marry well. Read us in her fate, since you are learned into the art." Then the baron kept looking at her, said scareless, "I could guess her fate. Some betched walk or with others. But to please you, I will cast the hocus cup at the stars. So tell me, girl, what day you were born." "That I don't know, sir," replied the girl, "for I was picked up in the river about 15 years ago." Then the baron grew played, and he suggested once that she was a little less He had fluffed into the steam, and the fate had sunk stronger than he was. But he kept his own counsel and said nothing to the time. Afterwards, however, he thought out a plan, so he wrote back and gave the girl a letter. "See you," he said, "I will take your fortune. Take this letter to my brother, who needs a good girl, and you will settle for life." Now the fisherman and his wife were growing older and need help, so the girl said she would go and took the letter. And the Baron rode back to the castle, saying to himself once more, "There's a good fare." So what he had written in the letter: "Dear brother, take the bear and put her to death immediately." But once again he was sore mistaken, since on the way to the town there was a butler lived. The girl had to stop a night in a little inn, and so it happened that the very night a gang of thieves broke in the inn, and not contacting and carrying off all the innkeeper's proceeds, and searching for pockets of the guests, and found the letter which the girl carried. And when they read it, they agreed that it was a man's trick and a shame. So the captain sat down and taking a pen of paper and write instead: "Dear brother, take the bear and marry her to your son without delay." Then, after putting the note into the envelope and sealing it up, he gave the girl back and let her the way go on. So when she arrived to the brother's castle, though rather surprised, then he gave order for a wedding least to be prepared, and the Baron's son, who was staying with his uncle, seeing this girl great beauty, was nothing loth, so there was a fast wedding. Well, when the news brought to the Baron, the knight might beside himself, but he was determined not to do it fast a fate. So the road post handed to his brother and prepared a quiet place. And once a day, when he come on in the night, he asked for the young bride to come for a walk with her, and when they were close to the little cliffs, Scythe shot her and was thrown her down into the sea. But she begged hard in her life. "It's not my fault," she said. "I have done nothing. It's fate. But it will you be spare my life promise that I will be fighting against fate also. I will never see you or your son again until you desire it. That will be safer for you, since you have seen and prepared me in the river." Well, the Baron agreed to this, took off the golden ring from her finger and flung it over the cliffs into the sea and said, "Never dare to show me your face again, till you show me the ring like this." And when he let her go, well, the girl wanted one and wandered on, until she came to a noble's castle, and there needed a kitchen girl. She engaged as a school, since she had nothing to do, and work with fish will fine with her. Now one day she was cleaned up a big fish. She looked out of the kitchen window, and who should he driven in to be at dinner but the Baron and his young son, her husband. At first she thought to keep her promise she must run away, but afterwards she removing and would be not seen in the kitchen, so she went with her cleaning on of the big fish. And lo, and behold, she saw something shining in the inside of the fish, and there sure enough was the Baron's ring, so she glad enough to see it. I can tell you, so they slipped into my son. But she went on with her work and dressed the fish as nicely as ever she could, and served it as a pretty and maybe also personally sauce and butter. Well, when it came to the table and the guests liked to So Well asked who has cooked, and he called the servants, "Send up the cooked and cooked for the finest fish, and she maybe give her reward." Well, when the girl heard she was wanted, they made already, and give the golden ring on the thumb, went boldly into the dining hall, and all the guests, when they saw her, stuck tumble and wonderful beauty. And the young husband started up gladly, but the baron recognized her, jumped and ugly and looked her, if it will be killed her. So without no words, the girl helped out and held her hand before his face, and the golden ring stone glittered on it, and she went straight up to the baron and laid her hand with the ring in front of him of the table. Then the baron understood that fate, and had been took strong with him, so he took her by her hand and placed her beside him, turned to the guests and said, "This is my son's wife. Let us drink a toast on her honor." And after the dinner he took her and his son home to his castle, where all they lived very happily and couldn't even be afterwards. So, I hope you enjoyed this and hope to see you soon back here on my channel. See you, bye bye!